This is my speech for Maymaster 2020 Con 230, and I will be talking about subject 1 on the option list, which is the 1% and the amount of taxes they pay and whether those are fair. So I see two main faults with the arguments that people make when they say that the rich need to pay more taxes. One, that the rich are not paying their fair share and they need to be paying a higher tax rate. And two, that the rich are using tax loopholes to avoid taxes and get out of paying their fair share. Alright, so the first of these, that the rich are not paying their fair share. So I have this chart on the right which shows the average tax rate depending on the percentile bracket, which shows the effective tax rate for each bracket. An effective tax rate means after expenses, deductions, credits, earned income credit, anything like that. So as you can see, the bottom 50% of taxpayers on the left, which is any taxpayer that makes below $48,000, is paying 3.7% tax rate. That means 3.7% of their income actually goes to the government for taxes. And on the far right, the top 1% pay about 27%. And this is obviously showing that the rich are paying more taxes than anyone else. And a lot of the arguments that they make when they're trying to say the rich should pay more is using examples, select examples, to show that they aren't paying enough. For example, Warren Buffett frequently says that he pays less taxes than his secretaries, and that's not correct. Well, that may be true, but he's an exception to the rule, as you can see by this chart. The lower 50% of taxpayers make 12% of the income in the U.S., but they only pay 3% of total taxes. A lot of that is because of credits, like the earned income credit and child tax credit. Now that's this chart on the right. This is showing earned income credit phase outs depending on the number of children you have and income and stuff like that. Now one of the other arguments that they make is that the rich get out of paying taxes by using loopholes. And I think this word loophole is purposely misrepresented and overused just to get like a trigger word to get people to say, oh no, loopholes. But in fact, all of these loopholes are legal. They are in the tax law and they are written that way, and they allow for the things that are done. Now, a few of them are questionable that they should be done, but they are legal. But most of these things, they're perfectly legal, and in fact, some lower income people do use them, or they have them available to them if they want. It's not like a big secret thing that they're hiding. Some of these are simple things like deducting the interest on a home or something like that, which even a low-income person can use. It's not a loophole. It's just a total misrepresentation of the word. And in fact, the lower 50% of taxpayers, as shown on this previous chart, get the most credits, not the rich, because there are a lot of credits, such as the earned income credit, child tax credit, and standard deduction, which favor the lower percent very heavily because they're capped at income levels and the rich cannot get them. Now, a third argument that I have, it wasn't on my main slide but it's here, is people who say that we need a wealth tax for just, instead of taxing the amount of income that they bring in every year, they would be taxing the amount of assets that person owns. And this is the worst possible way that a tax can be done. It just does not make any sense. Because a person can have lots of assets and not necessarily have lots of income. And that one example is Elon Musk. he has a net worth of approximately $27 million. But all of that net worth is in SpaceX and Tesla. He said himself that if either SpaceX or Tesla goes bankrupt, he will go bankrupt. All his assets are tied up in that. He receives $0 in actual wages from Tesla. It's all stock options that he can't just go out and spend. It's all locked up. And Bezos, as another example, is the owner of Amazon. He's another example. He has a huge net worth, but it swings up and down on a daily basis. Because he's not receiving income, he's receiving stock. So a few countries, such as France, had tried to implement this wealth tax, and they ended up getting rid of it because they found out that just because someone owns assets doesn't necessarily mean they have the income to give it. And that's all I have for just the main things about why the rich are already paying more than their fair share, and they do not need to pay anymore.